Of the show, we're going to talk about something that's, again, taking place out in California. I mentioned California a lot, but they're getting ready to pass the new law, Proposition 19, to legalize marijuana. Now, the former Surgeon General, Miss Elders, I think that's her name. She's for this. She feels that it's not addicting. She says that it's not toxic. She says now these are her words, are that she actually, I saw her talking about this, read some information, as well as she was on the television the other day talking about it, and she was on Larry King talking about it, and she says it's not toxic, and she says, of course, not like cigarettes and stuff like that, and she says she's alone. No one. She said she's never known of anybody dying from marijuana use, and so therefore some of her points is that it could be taxed and make money for the government, and she felt that it would bring down some of the requests for illegal drugs coming in through some of the other countries that's coming over here, and then make monies for the United States. But I just got some serious concerns about that kind of stuff, because California and Florida, we kind of trendsetters here, especially California. Things happen there, eventually trickle down to other states. And I know the federal government says that they still got federal laws in place, and federal government trumps this kind of stuff, and they say they're going to continue to fight it on the federal level. California seems to think that certain amounts should be, well, at least the ex-surgeon general seemed to feel that so too many people going to jail for, she felt nonviolent crimes for marijuana and stuff of that nature. Well, I'm not. That may be true, but they're going to jail because they're committing crimes. And so it ain't the government's fault or the state of California's fault that they're going to jail. It's the person's fault that's you holding, carrying, selling, or using illegal drugs. That's who's at fault for putting themselves in jail. California's not going in and putting drugs in their pocket and arresting them. So when she says we got a lot of people that are being arrested, she felt for stuff that are not significant like marijuana, but they shouldn't be doing anything that's not significant enough to get arrested, in my opinion. But I do worry about this becoming a trend, perhaps, and coming down here into the Florida area, because I still say, how are you going to control? How do you control it? Because people have been growing marijuana for years. So for her to think, or whomever to think, that legalizing marijuana is the solution to create more revenue for the United States, it just, to me, it sounds preposterous, because it's a plant. Anybody can grow it. Anybody in any house, anytime right now, you could grow it and nobody never know you growing it. If you got a garden, unless you out there trying to sell it, if you was using it for recreation purposes anywhere in the United States, you can grow it. You know, I've seen people do it before, grow it and use it for purposes. Now, when they start trying to grow it and, have these artificial lights set up in their houses, where I remember big, huge houses out in California was being rented and purchased just for the growing of marijuana. Since the sun go down, they wanted to grow at a certain rate. They had these lights that they use to keep it. I guess, I'm assuming, I'm not a scientist, I assume if the lights are on constantly, it gives an artificial sunlight, and I guess that causes it to grow quicker. I could be wrong with that, because I don't know. I'm not a scientist, and maybe you don't need a scientist. Maybe just leave a little knowledge in the area that I don't have in that area. But what I do know is that anybody can grow this stuff, and for them to think that they're going to take away the criminal aspect of it by legalizing whatever the amount they said, it's not like you can go out. She said, well, you can't smoke it in front of children. Well, who's going to stop? How are we going to stop them? People do it now. She said, well, how are we going to know they're smoking in front of? She said, well, you can't sell it to kids. People do it now. Who's going to stop from selling it to kids? What age is a kid? Is that 21? Can we not sell it before they get 21? What about 18? At what point do you say they're a kid? They do it now. She says, and maybe she's naive, because she seems to think that it's a cure-all, that all of a sudden if you legalize it, all of a sudden the people that has it, they're selling it, it's not going to sell it to kids. Well, where's it going to be? In the store? We're going to put it in the 7-Elevens? We're going to put it in the dollar stores? I mean, where are we going to put it at? What store is going to house? Is it going to be a store that's only run by the state? Is it a federal store? I mean, who's going to house this? And who's going to say? And who's going to stop somebody from doing exactly what they do today? Go in and buy beer and take it to the kids. Is it illegal? Of course it is. Somebody go and buy the marijuana, whatever you want to call it, the weed, the dope, the smoke, whatever you want to call it. And they can still take it and give it to the kids. So it's crazy to say that, well, as long as you don't smoke it in front of children, as long as you don't sell it to children, it's stupid. They're going to do it anyway. It's like taking away guns. It's like saying that you can't have a we're gonna take away the guns. Well, the criminals got them anyway, so criminals are gonna always find a way to get whatever illegal in their hands. So making the marijuana legal is gonna do nothing but have a bunch of high people driving down the road. Now, what kind of test are we gonna give? We can smell, in some cases, depends on if they drive with their windows up perhaps, but if people are smart about it, they smoking the weed out in the open, they get their little high on, they go wash their hands, put a little lotion on or whatever, you know, spray a little cologne on their clothes. What test the police gonna give them now to decide if they can't blow into a breathalyzer, so what are we gonna use to decide if the person is on weed? Now we're gonna start drawing blood right there on the scene, because I understand, well, what, marijuana stays in your system, 30 days? I don't know the length of time, I don't use any drugs. But what I do know is that you're going to have to start doing something different if you're going to start screening people for marijuana versus people that have been drinking alcohol, because it's not the same. I mean, I don't know what test you're going to give. Yeah, you can still get those sobriety tests, I imagine, but what else you going to do? You're not going to be able to detect it right away because you can't, because that's the way it's set up. But I don't think it's right anyway. I think it's ridiculous. I don't see how it's going to help anybody. If that's the case, even though it's not marijuana, you legalize prostitution. I mean, what's the big deal then? I mean, after all, people are going to do that. That's been around since time began. And ain't nobody able to stop it yet. We wasted a lot of time fooling around trying to stop it. So why not just let it go? When we starting to legalize everything now, they're going to legalize. What's next? What's next? We're going to legalize. We're going to say what now? I don't know what could else be. Legalize heroin, crack. What are we going to say next? Well, you know, crack, even though it's not the same, of course, we know. It's not the same as marijuana. For somebody to say, oh, Roosevelt, you're being ridiculous because crack cocaine is killing people. It can cause you to have a heart attack, this and that and the other. We're not talking about marijuana. Didn't have those. I believe everything has a side effect. I don't believe for 1 second that marijuana has 0 side effects. I'll never be convinced of that. I don't know what the side effects might be, but I don't think it's 0. And a lot of people trying to tell us that it's nothing. You can't get addicted to it, they say. You know, they say, well, it's medical marijuana. Well, yeah, okay, medical marijuana. Yeah, we heard that before. What does it do? Well, I'm assuming that it somehow it numbs the pain process. If people got a lot of pain in their body, people that are suffering from terminal cancers or something of that nature, my understanding is that it helps with the pain process. So I guess it does something to the nervous system, or it prevents pain in some way. Like a pain blocker, I guess, but it's more potent than I assume taking pain pills. Because when there's nothing else left, people are saying medical marijuana is helping them. And I mean, I'm not one to say to someone that's ill that they shouldn't use something that's going to make them feel better, because if that's making them feel better, then I'm all for them feeling better. That's a prescription for it. If they actually, you know, because I'm not in their situation. So if someone's in pain every day and the doctors can't do anything else, and then truly, for some reason, that medical marijuana can actually help those people live somewhat of a comfortable life, I'm all for that. But I'm not for people recreationally getting high. I mean, it's crazy to just say it's okay to just go out there and smoke up. I mean, I think they say like an ounce. You're allowed to have, I don't know, they say 25 yards. I can't remember the number. I don't think it's 25 yards. That seems like a big, maybe a big amount. But I don't know exact numbers on that. But I know somebody mentioned something about an ounce. And I don't say what it used to be, but it's still an ounce. It's enough to get one person high. I'm confident in that, unless it ain't real. It's enough to put you on an appetite control system you never been on. It causes you to eat uncontrollably. I don't suggest nobody with eating issues using marijuana, because their appetite is going to increase 100-fold. Now, do they gain weight? I don't know, but the appetite will increase 100-fold. So, but I'm making light of it in a way. But I don't think it's funny, actually, and I don't agree with legalizing marijuana, and I don't think nobody's going to convince me otherwise, because I just don't think it's the right thing to do. It has too many loopholes, and people need to have a better argument, because the argument that we're going to somehow make money and you're going to tax it, how are you going to do that? Okay, so I'm gonna envision this. So I'm gonna get a business, and I'm gonna call it, you know, Roosevelt's Marijuana Incorporation. You know, I'm just throwing out something like that. So I got this garden in my backyard, or whatever. I have this green room, not green room, but this room where you know what I'm talking about, where you grow your plants and stuff. So I got these plants growing. How the government gonna know how many plants I'm growing? Who's gonna come and regulate how much? How much is too much? Is it gonna be a too much limit if I'm growing it legally? And then I got somehow we gotta bag this stuff and chop it up, weigh it up. Then we're gonna sell this stuff to a different pharmaceutical places or drugstores or whatever, then people are gonna go in there with their scripts and they're gonna get this stuff. Who's to say that I'm not now selling it on the side too? How you gonna know? Criminals are criminals, and trying to legalize things does not take the criminal aspect out of it. I don't believe it will. I don't believe it's gonna be. I think everybody gonna be a drug dealer then, not me. But I think if you're allowed to have a certain percentage, more than an ounce, I think you're allowed to do something. They say, well, I have to go back and look it up. But if that's the scenario, everybody on your corner, little Johnny gonna be a drug dealer, little Susie gonna be a drug dealer. They're gonna be dealing to each other just like they do now. And they're gonna be doing. We won't be able to control it. It'll be an epidemic, it'll be out of control.